Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Warzone in Depth. In today's episode, I want to go over the stats of the new AMP63 pistol with you all. If you're not aware, the AMP63 is a new fully automatic secondary pistol in Black Ops Cold War and Warzone. It came out for both multiplayer and Battle Royale today. You can unlock it by killing people in 20 different games. I think it's 5 people in 20 games, which would take a very long time. Or you can get 400 zombies critical kills, which is headshots, and that takes about 20 to 30 minutes, and then you can level it up. Or if you don't want to do any of that, you can buy it in a bundle in the store and use code Drifter to support me, thus technically making this video sponsored by Activision. But I'm not going to be able to make content as frequently. My health, unfortunately, is terrible and it's failing me, so using my code is an easy way to support me. And on that topic, today you're going to see gameplay of Black Ops Cold War multiplayer, a little bit of plunder, and then quite a bit of backup gameplay because I did not fully unlock the pistol. What I did is I bought the bundle, and then I can strip all of the attachments off the bundle and go into private match and test it and get the stats for you. But I still, even after buying the bundle, have to play the 20 games to unlock it and then level it up. So I wasn't exactly Warzone combat ready with it. So I do hope you enjoy the gameplay, but also trust that I did my due diligence and spent a couple hours today testing out all these stats for you guys. So without any further ado, let's talk about the damage. The AMP63 will deal 42 damage to the head, decreasing down to 32 at longer ranges. The chest is 36 to 27, and I put an asterisk next to that because I was getting inconsistent results. When I was testing it on stream, I oddly got 42 damage for chest shots, and then when I was testing it off stream, I got 36 damage for chest shots. I think what's happening is there may be a little overlap of the multipliers or something a little bit goofy about the body itself, and I may be clipping the head on accident, but I'm fairly confident it's supposed to be 36 to the chest and then 27 at long ranges, though I just want to let you guys know it was behaving oddly. Stomach and limbs both have the same multiplier or damage at 30 and then 23 at longer ranges, which is pretty low, but I gotta admit the head and chest numbers are very solid. When it comes to the rate of fire on this weapon, both the single and the AKIMBO fire at 654 RPM. Now, I would like to point out that that AKIMBO is ×2, so that's really more like 1300 RPM if you want to count both guns together. But what I wanted to do with this little tile is just let you know that it doesn't get a fire rate nerf or buff or change or anything when it's AKIMBO. It's just two guns operating the same how it kind of would be in real life, you know, but of course you've got twice as many bullets coming out. When it comes to the single AMP63 time to kill, you're looking at 458 milliseconds if you're getting all headshots, and that is quite fast actually. That's kind of like a Finnick time to kill. It's like a faster SMG time to kill. And if you're shooting people in the chest, which I think is going to be the most common, hitting all chest shots and not missing a single one, that's 550 milliseconds. In my opinion, these are very fair and not OP damage numbers or time to kill numbers at all. Your in-game experience is actually probably going to be slower than these numbers still because, again, to get that 550, you have to hit all chest shots. You hit 1 or 2 limb shots, it's already going a little bit lower. So if you're in-game, you're probably going to be killing people a little bit slower than this because real games have a tendency to be chaotic. So it's not going to be a melt machine, but it is a reasonable weapon. It has a similar time to kill to the PPSH, to the MAC-10, and to the Bullfrog, but it's much harder to use. It is a pistol. It only has 25 bullets in the magazine with the biggest extended mag. It's not going to have as good a range. The recoil is not as good. Iron sights aren't as good as it is compared to some of these weapons. It's just going to be generally more difficult to use, though if you don't miss a shot because you're good, you'll get pretty similar performance out of it. And it has a nearly identical time to kill to the full auto SYKOV. It is, I did double check this one. This was a mistake that I made on my last episode because I misclicked on True Game Data's website. He does such good work. You make one click and get bad data, but I did check it out. The SYKOV kills faster than the Diamatti, and this is nearly identical to the full auto SYKOV. So between the two, I'd probably use this because the SYKOV is kind of hard to use, but this isn't all. We want to talk about the AKIMBO damage. Raven has a tendency to release weapons that can be made AKIMBO, and they will be totally broken if they're AKIMBO because they either don't change the damage or they get a rate of fire buff or something bizarre happens. So when it comes to the AMP63, it has the same rate of fire AKIMBO, but the damage is significantly lower. It'll deal 29 damage to the head, and this is all up close because when I'm doing AKIMBO, it's all hip fire, and I can't actually tell what region of the body I'm hitting people at long ranges. So you do get an idea of the scaling though. Headshots are 29 damage, chest is 23 damage, and then stomach and limbs are a pitiful 20 damage. So these numbers are very low if you're running at Akimbo. And when you want to look at your Akimbo time to kills, they're actually identical to the single fire time to kills. If you land all Akimbo headshots, it's 458 milliseconds. If you land all Akimbo chest shots, it's 550 milliseconds. If you're landing body shots, it's probably going to be a lot slower. And again, this is assuming that you don't miss a single shot. So in reality, it's probably going to be slower. Though, you know, somehow the time to kill is the same on both the single and the Akimbo. So I guess you can choose what you're good at or what you want to max or min. But I would wager the vast majority of the time you're going to kill people slower with Akimbo because you're going to get in more limb shots and you're just going to miss a whole bunch. I think we all know that, so no need to harp on that point for too long. I do have some opinions here at the end of the episode now that all of the important statistics have been covered. I think that Akimbo is probably not going to be the way to go on the AMP63. I think that most of us are going to get a slower time to kill. The magazines aren't gigantic like the SYKOVs. You might even burn a mag before killing people. And they just have pretty awkward handling and hipfire spread. I think it's going to be much easier to rely on the relatively clean iron sights and ability to ADS on people and take advantage of the nice sticky aim assist in close quarters combat with the single fire. Also, the hipfire box itself has a lot of vertical recoil in Akimbo, so it's very difficult to manage. I could be wrong because I haven't had the opportunity to test all of the attachments, but I'm not expecting any of them to truly redeem Akimbo. My other opinion is this may be the new best secondary weapon. So I recommended the Diamatti in the last episode of In Depth with incorrect stats, which is embarrassing for me, but I make mistakes because my health is failing me miserable on stream. For those of you that were watching me, I zoned out on stream for like a minute or there. I had no idea what I was doing. But I put my mind back together, double checked it. I still think the Diamatti is probably better to use as a secondary than the SYKOV. Even though the SYKOV has a faster time to kill, the Diamatti is way easier to use. And this is kind of the same story, except it has a nearly identical time to kill to the SYKOV. I think it's only 1 or 2 milliseconds off. So for a couple of milliseconds, which is less than a frame, this one's going to kick a lot less. It's going to have cleaner iron sights. It's going to be easier to use. It's not going to have a giant mag, and you can't put fully loaded on it, which is a downside. But if you already have your submachine gun ammo, it's probably going to be way easier to kill at least one person with this one than it would be with the SYKOV. I can never see what I'm aiming at with that weapon. And I think that the AMP63 is going to be a lot easier to use when you have it fully kitted as well. There's just so many good attachments for this weapon that I can't test in Warzone right now. The new sound suppressor, which will give me faster sprint out, faster ADS, keep me off the radar. A lot of the laser sights can tighten up hipfire and make the close quarters combat better. There's a lot of things that I'm not currently able to put on the gun that can make it better. Personally, I'm probably going to run the Task Force barrel single with the sound suppressor, 25 round mags. The Task Force barrel is going to give me bullet velocity and range, but more important than that, it's going to give me strafe speed, so I'm going to be able to outstrafe people. And if I run a laser sight, I'm going to have a choice between strafing people or just hip firing them and giving me a lot of choices with the weapon. So of course, I will have a follow-up video coming once this weapon is fully leveled up, which might be a day or two because it's going to take an eternity to unlock it. But I'm going to do probably a Black Ops Cold War in depth on this weapon for its stats. Then I'm going to do maybe a follow-up video on Warzone to see if it's viable as a pistol or secondary or just something instead of running overkill. After that, later this week, we're looking at a little bit of a live highlight. I want to do a review of the Harley Quinn show and maybe even a ballistic knife in depth. I'm kind of hitting a bad area of my health where things are going. For many of you know, I'm tapering off my medication again so that I can be studied while symptomatic, and the symptoms are really showing, and I'm really starting to feel like crap. So I'm just going to try to manage what I can, keep my head above water, try to maintain normal tasks, and keep on rolling with it. So say a prayer for me, keep watching the content, and I'll be back tomorrow with more. Drifter out.